Hello, welcome to another crypto chart. I'm Fausto Botelho broadcasting from Brazil, and today we're going to take a look in Bitcoin and some of the altcoins. Today, I also want to tell you about a situation in the market for those of you guys that follow the markets in intraday charts. Well, in the morning today, someone that would look at the S&P, at the Bitcoin chart, would have seen a probable head and shoulders formation because the market was close to this low here, 8,200, and it was kind of hard for it to make a new bottom. And then in the morning, all of a sudden, I'm going to use these tool here, the market starts to go up and it breaks the resistance trend line that one could have drawn, imagining it was the neckline of these probable head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders formation. A more observative trader would have noticed that the upper shadow was big enough for it to be trying to wait a little bit more to confirm the breaking of the market. And then in the following bar, here's what happened. Well, I didn't want to give all the information, so we had a reversal, right? So the lesson from this is, if you trade in a 15-minute market or in a 5-minute market, or if you have a indication in the 5-minute bar chart, and if you enter the market in that indication, move up one time frame, like for instance, go to the 15-minute bar and wait to see if the 15-minute confirms the indication you had in the 5-minute bar. Has it confirmed? You will have to wait eventually another 10 minutes, right? Or 5 minutes. Or no, if you go to the 15 minutes, eventually the 5-minute closed at the same time that the 15-minute bar closed. So whenever you realize that a upper time frame confirms what you've seen in the lower time frame, move up another time frame, go to the hourly chart. And in between, don't forget that for you to take an indication out of a candlestick chart, you need the bar to be closed. So don't take for granted what you've seen in a bar before you have the actual close of that bar. Because sometimes you might be seeing a candle bar in its highs, and it's, you know, a 5-minute bar, it's 2 minutes for the close, and eventually the market is going to close in the lows, and that indication is no longer there, and you entered in a false indication. Right, so these are the two tips that I give to you that day trade. First, wait for the bar to close. Second, try to confirm in higher time frames the indication that you had in the lower time frame. If you're in the 15-minute, if you're in the 5-minute bar, wait for the close of the 15-minute and ask yourself, do I still want to hold this position that I made because I had this indication in the 5-minute bar? If you enter it in the 15-minute, go to the hourly chart and ask yourself, do I still want to hold this position? And if you are like me, not necessarily a day trader, even though because in the cryptos there's no closing, right? So it's hard for you to classify yourself like a day trader, right? So what I do is that eventually I make day trades, but I just make day trades because the market hits my stop in the same day. But I don't have anything against going to sleep with my position there, because I'm a trader. I keep my stops, and they're there taking care of my position, right? And of course, I sleep well. I don't dream with my positions because I have a method. We call it the dealer method of trading the markets, in which we do something that is called position sizing. We define a maximum risk per trade, which is from 1 to 3% maximum of your whole capital. One should not lose more than 1%, eventually 2%. More than 3%, you're not actually trading, you're gambling, because you lose 1, 2, 3% trades, and you're there. Considering the slippage and the commissions, you're near 10%. Now you're going to have to win 11% of your capital just in order to come back to your former capital. And I used to say that people don't get bankrupt because they lose money. They get bankrupt because they try to recover what they lost. And that's what kills people, kills the financial position, capital of people. Willing to fight with the market and recover what you lost. So that's what I do. And if I eventually establish my positions as I do in the crypto space, based on the hourly chart, every day before going to sleep, I check my positions in the daily chart. And I ask myself, do I want to have that position? Would I make a trade now? Because if I don't have reasons to make a trade at that time, then I don't have a reason to hold the position anymore. Of course, you have to do it in the time frame that you traded, which is the hourly chart, but also you have to do it on the time trade above the one that you used to trade, which would be the daily chart. So this is it. That said, let's take a look in the market real time now, and just to tell you that, well, that's another tip that I want to give you. As I said, that you would have eventually imagined that this was a inverted head and shoulders, right? Going to the daily chart, you can see that this level has a lot of resistance. I mean, support has been resistance in other times, is now support. Here's where we are. You see there's a lot of activity here, especially the low of this accumulation the market made in September, October last year. The low of this flag in the what I consider to be wave 1 of wave 5. If you're not familiar with that, let me quickly update you. That's the long-term chart of Bitcoin. And in my analysis of the Elliott Wave, I consider that this first upward movement we shouldn't consider, because it's the one that took Bitcoin out of zero and into something of value, $5. Even though it acted like a impulsive wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. I consider that in terms of trend or in terms of long-term trend, we should consider something that has a value. Okay, cycle. In terms of cycle, the word I wanted to say, you should consider something that has already a value. So that said, I understand we had so far waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is very important here for you to consider these as wave 4. You have to see these as a corrective wave, and I easily see that as a corrective wave. I'm changing from the weekly I don't know if it was weekly or monthly, but I'm changing it to the daily chart. And yes, this was a corrective wave, because so far we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very clearly an impulsive downwards wave, right? And then we had this descending triangle that by definition is a corrective wave, and then another impulsive wave. I think we would count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we had a inverted head and shoulders here. So everything fits on a corrective wave. So if that is a corrective wave, I label it in my analysis, as I said, considering not considering these first upward movement, I label it as wave 4. So we're entering wave 5. We've entered already wave 5, and in wave 5, I count this first wave as wave 1, right? Even though, because by counting, I can see clearly from when the market escapes from these inverted head and shoulders, I count easily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. And besides, what I've seen so far here, what we've seen so far here is that the market corrected a little more than 50% in these first impulsive wave, which is wave 1 in my counting, right? So now what happened? Well, we've had we're starting wave 3, and then we have to consider whether these so this would be wave 1, wave 2, and now we're having wave 3. So far we've had wave 1 of wave 3, and we're in wave 2 of wave 3, in my opinion, in my analysis of the Elliott wave. So the thing is, the market has already corrected the first Fibonacci level. Well, let me tell you something. Wave 1 is the one with the bigger correction. You know why? Because the market has been on a downtrend for a while. Like here, the market has made this corrective wave 2 for what the one that I said corrected 50% of this movement here, right? So this is wave 1 of wave 5, wave 2 of wave 5, and now we're entering wave 1 of wave 3. So the wave 1 is the one that corrects the most, because you know the market is coming from this huge correction here, goes up, and people are still feeling, you know, the downtrend that we had here so far for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of downtrend, which is wave 2 of wave 5, as I said, right? So after wave 1 of wave 3, the market corrects the most. So eventually, yes, I think the market should come a little bit further down and correct 50%. I think it's quite possible, even though, because looking at this chart here, where's that chart? I'm lost here. Looking at this chart here in the hourly chart or in the 15-minute chart, whatever. Let's put it on the hourly chart. I think what we're seeing now so far is a descending triangle. A descending triangle that has an objective that can project the height of the triangle from here to here, more or less, right? And then we project that. It's only you that I want. Okay, yeah. Open up a little bit more here. Then I project you downwards, and if that happens, we're going to exactly $8,000, which is the projection of the descending triangle. So I'm bullish on the long term. I'm bullish on the medium term, but I am now Sunday 2, 3, 4, 5, 5:41, quarter 20 minutes to 18 o'clock UTC, or 14 hours and 41 minutes here in Brazil. I am bearish on the short term. It shouldn't take too long for the market to go down another 500%, 500 points, dollars on the downside. And but of course I have to make the disclosure that if these descending down this descending trend line here is broken, or if the market comes back above 8,500, then he would have produced, if we have a reversal here, right, he would then have produced a bear trap, and that could eventually be confirmed if the market breaks this resistance trend line. And if that happens, I'm going to consider that very bullish. So that said, let's have a quick look in the S&P, which, you know, it's the star of the moment. Here it is. And I've been asked in one of the users, watchers of my video in Portuguese, why is it that Bitcoin didn't follow the idea, the general idea of store value, and started to go up whenever the market seems to be starting a crash? Seems doesn't mean it will start a crash. A crash is this. Well, that's the last one we've heard of. Here is the crash, right? In terms of, well, a segment in a log chart is going to be always the same percent change. That's 29, almost 28%. That happened in the subprime where I took it from. It happened in a few days. Look at that. From here to here. It took what, 9 days. So that's what we call a crash, right? A time when the market falls a lot, very quickly, falls quickly a lot. So we're kind of can be compared what happened to the crash in 2008, but not yet. It would have to come down to this bottom here. And if it does, it's going to be breaking this support trend line. And if it does, then we're able to draw Fibonacci lines here, as you can see. And we could expect the market to come down here the least. I think it will go even further down. But, and why is that? Well, I've said many times here in the channel, I think all these upward movement, this bull market has been artificially created by the Fed, lowering interest rates and issuing money, printing money. And that's the reason why the US owed at that time $9 trillion, and now it owes $23.3 trillion. And the interest rates are near the bottom, as everybody knows, right? So that's why I think we could eventually have something much bigger than what happened to the S&P. Let's take a look. Well, in the S&P, no, subprime. So that's just the crash of the subprime, right? Let us increase the crash to the whole fall, to the whole bear market. That's what happened in the subprime. So if we bring this to the top here, then we would imagine that the S&P would correct third Fibonacci contraction level of 0.618%, and that would mean a fall of 58, maybe 60%, which is very bad. If it happens before November, it's going to be meaning that Trump is going to lose the elections, because he's I mean, the great argument, his great argument is that he kept the economy running. If we have a crash, he definitely will not win the presidency, and chances are that Bernie Sanders, which is just like Trump, bringing new ideas to the establishment, want to change a lot of things against the establishment. Same thing as Trump did when he was elected. chances are that Bernie Sanders wins the election, and that's going to fuel even more the downward, the bear market, because socialists' ideas don't fit into market going up. They fit very well in market going down, right? So that's the idea for the S&P. We have to wait what's going to happen. This is not going to happen like that. Let us remember what happened in the subprime. The market topped in October 2007, and it took it a year of a slow downtrend for it to then say, yeah, I've crashed. Well, it took a year for the market to crash, to really crash. But we have to consider too that we're now with the same problem as I heard from the president, the former president of the England Central Bank, Bank of England. What's his name? Well, I forgot his name, but he became a critic of the system. He says he wrote a book. Marvin King is his name. He wrote a book called the End of Alchemy. Alchemy meaning these these things that establishment does to keep that guy alive. And that guy, I mean the U.S. economy that died because of the credit that was given to the market from 2004 to 2008, and that made all the American families, go into debt and unpayable. So it happened. It ended up in the subprime. So, but this is a long story. So let us go back to for the video not to be too long. Let's go back to the cryptos, and I want to show you some of the cryptos that we're keeping an eye on. Shall we? Okay, then here we go. Cryptos. All oh god. Bitcoin is holding here in its support, but we have to see what's going to happen. 8,500, it's a important support. If it breaks, as I said, we're going to consider that as a descending triangle, right? So I'm putting these all in daily chart. Here we go. First one is Binance. I was long till today in Binance, expecting it to, I went long a little further up here. I'm already out because on the hourly chart, you can see that we had a break of this resistance trend line and this resistance level here, important resistance level at 0.00222. And the market was kind of flagging up, so my stop was just below this accumulation here. But thinking of the median of long term, I think, well, I don't think anymore, because this is resembling a rectangle. So I think Binance might as well break this support, this very important support here, and go lower. Let's wait and see. Of course, if it breaks back this resistance here that have been tested and produced a bull trap, then market starts being bullish again. I will be bullish again. So I'm taking these out of our observation panel. Going to the next one, Cardano, I'm taking out of our observation panel. I thought it could have been be doing a pullback to that pretend to be a resistance trend line, but no, it just came down and is now testing the support. If it breaks this support, well, I think I'll keep it here, because let's see what happens when it tests the support. It is already testing the support, by the way, Fausto, isn't it? Because the support is being noticed right here. So the market is testing these support. Let's take a look at the importance of the support. It goes back to the that used to be what used to be the all-time low of the market in 2017 or under. So that's the situation. If the market breaks this level here, it will easily come down to 400. So let's keep an eye on that. Ethereum, well, Ethereum is different. Broke this resistance trend level and is accumulating above this former support now that became resistance. It broke this resistance just like that, and it's accumulating above it. So I think we're gonna be calling this as a rectangle, upward rectangle. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on it, right? Litecoin, Litecoin goes and comes back and then goes again. It had this descending triangle here that was broken, confirmed, and then the market came back producing a bear trap here. Then it broke the resistance trend line of the former descending triangle, but it then didn't go up, didn't go through. It came back, and for the moment, what is it doing? Is it doing a pullback to this former resistance line? Well, I don't know. A reversal from here, I would consider bullish, especially if Bitcoin starts to go up. Because whenever Bitcoin starts to go up, I think it's gonna pull the most important coins. I just remembered that I was telling you something, and I just want to quick come back, and then I'll come back to Litecoin. What I wanted to tell you is that what happened in 2008, because I told you that I've been asked why Bitcoin isn't following the idea that would be a store of value, right? And the answer is whenever there's a crash, most of the assets fall with the crash. Because, the big money, the administrators, the managers of hedge funds, they have to get money in order to pay for the withdrawals of their quotes of the funds. So market starts to go down, people run to get the money that they have in funds, in hedge funds, in stock funds, and so the managers have to provide the money. They have to pay back to their clients. So eventually they're all invested, and they don't want to sell, because if they sell, they're going to be adding gas to the fire, because they're going to be helping the bear market. So so eventually selling Bitcoin may be a good idea for a lot of people that it's in need of money. So at the first time, just like what happened in gold that I'm going to be showing you here. This is gold. Yeah, what happened to gold? Yeah, gold went up and then it went down. Wow, a sharp drop in gold. Yeah, interesting. But let's see what happened in 2008, which is right here. The crash was in October, right? And in October, the market felt at the beginning. The market started to fall in October 10. So we're in October 17 here. In October 10, actually the market started to fall, as we can see here, in 2008. In the chart of the S&P, the market started to fall heavily on the beginning of October, at the 2nd of October, and then it didn't stop. It just stopped on the 10th. And gold, well, anyway, in October, gold went down, but then it went up from 2000, from November 2008. What am I doing here? On, gold went up like 173%. So maybe that's what's happening with Bitcoin. It's been hit by the first impact of the possible crash that we're witnessing, and then it will recover and it will start being what everybody expected it to be, which is a store of value. So now let's get back to the chart here. Litecoin, which we spoken already. Next one is NEM. Well, look at NEM. It apparently made only a pullback to this former resistance trend line, and it reversed with a engulfing over here. And now let's take a look in the hourly chart. And now look at this. It is kind of doing a symmetrical triangle, which that's the hourly chart, right? Let's go back to the daily chart. It's a sort of a, let's zoom it up a little bit for you to see well. It's a sort of a flag or a pennant or something. So good reasons to keep an eye on the hourly chart. Whenever this gives an indication, we're probably recommending to buy. I'm probably buying these two. Next one is NEO. What happened to NEO? Oh, broke this resistance trend line, broke the trend line of this symmetrical triangle, and made a pullback. I think it made a pullback because after the pullback, after it reached this former resistance trend line of the symmetrical triangle that happened after the market break this resistance trend line, it reversed with a right in over the trend line. It reversed with a piercing pattern. And what's going to happen now? We're keeping an eye on the hourly chart to see if this is giving us an indication, right? That's the hourly chart, and that's what we could draw from here. It already broke this trend line apparently, and let's wait for it to break this level here after this probable sort of flag. What is a flag, my friend? It's the profit taking off this mast here. A lot of people bought over here and then made this gain. So a lot of people is selling not because they think the market, not because they think the prices are coming down, but just because they want to take profits. And so that false downward pressure forces itself against the upward pressure and makes the prices drift in the opposite side of the main course, making the flag. So what is the flag after all? Is the profit taking process. Which profit taking? The mast. People take profit off the mast. So we're waiting for this flag to unfold, and if it breaks over here or maybe it breaks over there, we're probably recommending the buy of NEO. NEO, for you that don't know, it's the Chinese equivalent of Ethereum. It's a smart contract platform as well. So next one is Tezos. Well, Tezos broke this the resistance of this sideways trend, and then it came down once, twice, but now it's flagging down. I think it's going to be testing this level again. Let's see if it holds here. If it does, I'm going to keep considering this as a continuation pattern. I think this might probably end up as a upward rectangle or triangle somehow, but we're keeping an eye on Tezos for that reason too. So Tron, well, Tron broke these resistance trend lines. It went sideways, And now we're keeping an eye on it, especially in these the test that is being done in this support level here. Let's see. Eventually, if it holds here, it will indicate that this is probably a continuation pattern, a rectangle or something. We had so far a bull trap here, which is not good, but keeping an eye on Tron is one of the projects that I think it's worth watching. So waves, what happened to waves? Well, we had this spectacular upward movement here. Let us qualify it, 107% and more than 100% in a month. And then the market corrected. How much did it correct again? It corrected, well, more than 6.1, more than second corrective Fibonacci level. Then it went up again and is testing the resistance of this last stop. And it was doing it on a way that seemed to be a continuation pattern, a rectangle, maybe. So as I've said many times here in the channel, we senior technical analysts don't buy whenever the resistance of a rectangle is broken. We try to buy when we feel that we're looking at rectangle, and we buy it in the near the support, whenever the market comes to support and makes a reversal, or tell us, hey Fausto, I am not breaking the support. See the candles here, I'm not breaking the support. If I think the support is the support of a ascending rectangle, that's a good time to buy, right? So maybe it's a good time to buy waves right now. But let's see what the hourly chart's telling us. What is it telling us? Not very good things. We need to have a very good reversal, eventually a bear trap in here in these support levels here at 12,600 in order to, and eventually we should wait for these resistance trend line to be broken, and then we buy it for the reasons that I said so far. And next one and last one is Zcash. Zcash also break. Did it break? Yeah, it looks like a resistance trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, and eventually 5 here, and it's now again doing what may be called as a rectangle, upward rectangle. So we're taking an eye on this. It's on the level that we like to follow the markets, because eventually it will make a reversal here. Let's take a look in the hourly chart, and so we might as well draw a trend line here. Whenever it breaks this trend line, it would be very good if it gives us a bull trap, a bear trap here, and then breaks the trend line. Bear trap, ideal situation. Breaks trend line and flags up in this resistance level here, flags up over here, and then whenever it breaks the flag, we put the stop right below the flag, because flags are very good to hold positions. That would be around 4.7% away, which is beautiful for one that wants to enter the market, because with that distance of your stop, you can increase your position, maintaining the same risk per trade, right? So I think this is it. Yeah, I thank you very much for watching the video until now. If you're not a subscriber of the channel, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're going to be advised of other videos. I'm trying to make clear that the video is in English, but I'm still thinking of doing another channel. I don't know how much work more I'm going to be having to have a word in English language. So for the moment, I'm going to keep doing both languages, and one video at least a week. This week took me longer. I'm doing it on the Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.